Pantheon AI presents NVIDIA still untouchable despite competition, plus Amazon's $600 billion grocery revolution, plus crypto IPO boom. Welcome to the PAI Morning Briefing. I'm John, and with me is Sarah. Today is September 11th, 2025, and we have a packed show for you.
Good morning, everyone. John, I'm ready to dive in. It feels like there's a lot of movement to unpack today. So let's get started. How are the markets looking?
Well, things are definitely interesting. Let's run through the numbers. The S&P 500 is trading around 6586, up a modest 0.48%. But the Dow, that's showing a bit more vigor. It's sitting at about 46,068, and it's up over 1%.
Over 1% for the Dow, that's a pretty strong signal. So the blue chips are having a good day. What about the rest of the field?
Right. The Nasdaq is also up, but just slightly, around 0.28%. But here's the interesting part. The Russell 2000, which tracks the small cap stocks, is up about 1.2%. So it really seems like the smaller, more agile companies are catching a nice tailwind today.
That's a great point. It's fascinating to see that divergence. And of course, we can't talk about markets without checking in on crypto. What's the story there?
Always a different story, isn't it? Bitcoin is hovering near 114,300, up just a little. But Ethereum is looking more bullish, up about 1.56% to around 4,400. So you've got these two worlds, traditional and crypto, both moving, but marching to the beat of their own drums.
It really feels like there's a sense of cautious optimism in the air, you know? Investors seem to be balancing that growth potential you see in the small caps against all the global uncertainties we're always talking about.
Exactly, and that optimism is really visible in tech. The whole narrative is shifting back to AI and cloud computing, especially after some huge earnings reports. It's not just about today's numbers. It's about what these trends mean for the next few quarters. The big question is, how much of this is sustainable?
That's the $1 million or maybe $1 trillion question. Well, let's get into the top stories, because I think they shed some light on that. First up, it seems like everyone is talking about NVIDIA.
They are. Analysts at D.A. Davidson are calling it a buy. They've noted the emerging competition, but their core belief is that the sheer demand for AI computing is going to keep driving that stock higher. It's like, yes, there are new players, but the pie is just getting so massive.
Right. It's less about the competition and more about the fundamental transformation. NVIDIA isn't just a participant. They're literally building the infrastructure for the future. It's a powerful position to be in, and it really shows how fundamentals can outweigh the day-to-day market noise.
And we're hearing this from multiple angles. The consensus is building that this isn't a short-term craze, it's a long-term shift. You know, it reminds me of a joke. Why did the computer go to therapy? Because it had too many unresolved issues. For NVIDIA, luckily, the issues are just about making things faster and better.
Ha! I like that. Well, shifting from one giant to another, the chatter around Amazon is just as bullish. Morgan Stanley has it as a top pick, and they've attached a pretty staggering number to their optimism.
A $600 billion reason, to be exact. And it's all about a market you might not expect. Fresh grocery delivery. They see a massive opportunity there, and it looks like Amazon is gearing up to go after it in a big way.
And it's not just about dropping bags on your doorstep, right? It's about leveraging their insane logistics and data analytics to reinvent the whole supply chain. It's like that star athlete who can dominate one position and then seamlessly switch to another. For Amazon, that versatility is key.
Totally. It shows they're not resting on their laurels. They're constantly looking for new ways to innovate, especially as consumer habits keep shifting to a digital-first world. You have to wonder if we're seeing the start of a complete retail overhaul.
It certainly feels like it. Okay, let's move on to something that really caught my eye. The Figure Technology IPO. That's a crypto company, right?
It is. And they just raised $788 million at $25 a share. What's more, they had to upsize the offering because demand was so strong. In this market, that is a huge signal of investor confidence.
Wow. So the appetite for companies that blend tech with crypto is still really robust. It's like the market is shouting, "Bring it on," even as some of us are still trying to figure out how blockchain really works. It's a kind of modern alchemy, turning capital into growth.
It really is. And the fact that the story is being repeated just reinforces the narrative of vibrant demand. You know, it reminds me of another one. What do you call a blockchain expert who moonlights as a barista? Someone who can really stir the pot. And that's what these companies are doing, stirring the pot of traditional finance.
Okay, you're on a roll today. But it's not all sunshine and successful IPOs, is it? We also have a bit of a cautionary tale from the S&P 500.
That's right. A bit of a reality check. The index rejected the company formerly known as MicroStrategy, and JP Morgan reported on it. The move is sparking a lot of debate about how sustainable a business model can be when it's based on heavy crypto exposure in a corporate treasury.
So it's a reminder that while innovation is exciting, it comes with risks and regulatory hurdles. It's that classic balancing act between risk and reward that every single investor has to navigate.
Absolutely. And speaking of navigating, let's zoom out a bit to the sector level. In tech, as we've said, it's all about AI. NVIDIA is the poster child. This isn't just about selling chips anymore. It's about powering the future of literally everything.
And on the energy front, things are quieter today, but the sector is still grappling with that big shift to renewables. It's not a matter of if anymore, but when. So energy companies are in this tricky spot, balancing the old world with the new.
And in finance, that MicroStrategy story really highlights the central conflict. Institutions are tempted by the high returns of crypto, but they're also wary of the volatility and the regulatory uncertainty. It's a puzzle they're all trying to solve.
And these aren't just U.S. stories, are they? What happens on Wall Street has ripple effects everywhere. How are we seeing that play out globally?
Well, the optimism around AI in the U.S. is definitely influencing investment in Europe and Asia. We're seeing emerging markets trying to catch up, focusing on their own digital transformations. It's fascinating how an innovation in one corner of the globe can ignite a spark thousands of miles away.
It really is. So, John, tying this all together, what are your big predictions looking forward?
I think the fundamentals suggest tech stocks, especially in AI, will likely keep their momentum. But we have to remember that corrections can and do happen. For retail, Amazon's push into groceries shows that diversification is the name of the game for growth.
And on the crypto side, Figure's IPO shows the enthusiasm is there, but the S&P's move with MicroStrategy is that crucial reminder to balance that excitement with a healthy dose of caution and respect for risk.
Exactly. A colleague of mine said the other day that investing is like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded. You might get it right, but sometimes you're just spinning in circles.
That's a perfect analogy. But hopefully, with the right insights, we can make those twists and turns a little more intentional. And that leads to the big questions for our listeners. What's the next catalyst for tech? And how will companies balance innovation with regulation?
Those are the questions that keep us on our toes. So for a quick recap, markets are showing steady, if varied, gains. NVIDIA and Amazon are driving optimistic narratives in tech and retail. And the crypto world is a tale of two cities. Huge demand on one side and regulatory caution on the other.
A fantastic summary. And that's all the time we have for today. A huge thank you to everyone for tuning in. And of course to Pantheon AI, our information co-pilot, for helping us connect all these dots.
We'd love to hear your thoughts on the questions we raised today. Remember, you can always ask our AI co-pilot to dig deeper into any of these topics. It's there to help you navigate the information maze.
Make sure to join us again tomorrow. Until then, keep exploring, keep investing wisely, and remember, learning shouldn't feel like a full-time job. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Pantheon AI, your information co-pilot.
Because learning shouldn't feel like a full-time job. Take care and see you next time.